Okay, so where to start? This is going to be my first and not published attempt at trying to describe what the heck I've made with Land Nav. Okay, so it's an app that I wish existed to help with navigating, hiking, SAR, planning, trip planning. It's pretty opinionated, but it's also, I think the opinions are useful. I don't know. I think opinionated software is useful. What does it do? Ultimately, it's just a map. It uses OpenStreetMap data, which I find is the most accurate data for hiking and for backcountry, and just actually generally available consistently through the world. Like Google Maps is better when you're traveling for inside cities for restaurants and businesses and such like that. But if you're looking for trails, it's not as good, and it doesn't have topographical and doesn't have 3D. So that's where Land Nav will fit the bill. It gives you the 3D map is kind of like the cornerstone of the app. It works in the satellite mode, so you get a visual description or preview of what the terrain will look like, and then you also get the topographical map so that you can use that for more detailed planning, get a rough idea of what sort of elevation changes you're looking for and any sort of terrain issues that are going to come up, like creek crossings or river water sources where to go camping. The navigation side of it is not going to handhold you. It doesn't do route planning. It assumes that you're capable of picking a good route, and in fact it kind of encourages that. So you lay down a set of markers of where you want to be, and then it's up to you to find your way there. And so you can just once you have your set of markers laid down along the route that you want to take or the areas that you want to visit, select one of the markers and navigate to, and then that'll give you a bearing that you can follow to get there. Now, of course, you have to look at the map to make sure that's the you're going to get pointed in the right direction, but it's up to you to make a wise choice in going there. And so that can be, if it's a trail and there's only one trail, then it's pretty obvious you follow that trail, right? And this is the navigation feature, just make sure you're going in the right direction on the trail. But say I use it also in cities, and rather than having Google Maps or Apple Maps kind of say hey, to get to this location a kilometer away, follow this street, this street, and this street, I'd rather just point me in the right direction, because sometimes you can get disorientated in a new city. So I know if I want to go that way, then usually you have a choice of two streets if the city's laid out on a grid, right? And so I'll, rather than following the way the algorithm that Google has, that might take you down a really crappy, noisy, unpleasant street to walk on, I'll pick the more pleasant street and just make sure that I'm slowly making my way in the general direction and have a rough idea about how far away it is. Is it 100 meters away, or is it 4 kilometers away? And that's enough, and it lets you the map tool kind of gets out of your way. You don't have to have your face in your phone while you're following it. You just occasionally glance at it and make sure you're walking in the generally right direction and know that you're going to go there, and then you spend your time looking and enjoying your surroundings. And that's it, right? You place markers and you move towards them. You give them names if you need to help with planning. It has the concept of maps, which are just collections of markers and items, and that's just used to help organize things like trips, or I use it also in SAR to keep track of each search that I work on. So you can give each map a name, and if it's applicable, a date. So I use the date field for SAR tasks and the title for the SAR task number, and and then I'll put out like the routes that I need for the navigation. Now, of course, we have a really sophisticated mapping system for our SAR team, and I use that along with it with the tasking. But this app, what I use Land Nav for, is for just keeping the notes for what I've done and the notes that I need for navigating my specific tasks, because the global map can get a bit overwhelming. But at the end of the task, it's pretty fun to import the whole map into it and rip it around on your laptop or your phone and that, because the rendering engine in Land Nav is just better than the one that we use. And sorry, like, because you get a 3D view, it runs fast, 60 frames per second. And I find it just a little bit better to visualize the scope of what we've done. So, next steps, I spent a year building this thing, maybe a bit more, way far, far longer than I thought I was going to spend. There was some definitely frustrating moments using SwiftUI, and just some frustrating moments like, why am I doing this? Why am I wasting like all this time doing this? But it's an app that I wanted to exist, and I had the opportunity in my life to try to go for it, and I think other people may like it. As I'm getting closer to launching it and sharing it, I'm definitely having lots of self-doubt. I feel pretty vulnerable, kind of pushing out my opinion on this, and I don't know where that's coming from. But I know I'm feeling it, and I'm just going to do my best. I'm going to treat it as a learning experience, and I'm going to just do what I think is the right thing, do what I set out to plan. I said I was going to spend 2 years on this project. I was going to spend 1 year in development after I kind of realized how big of a scope it was going to be. That took a little bit longer, but I'm pretty close to finishing the development. And then I was going to spend a year trying to market it and try to like get traction with it. So that's going to be a huge learning experience and a ton of uncomfortableness. I'll have to put myself out there a bit more, or a lot more. I'm going to have to create content and get used to talking to a video camera like I'm doing now. I'm going to have to write a lot more. I'm going to have people say they don't like it. Why would I use this over Gaia, Venza, or all Trails? Like, what's the point? Why isn't there an Android version? Why is this? Why? Oh, it'd be great, like if I could do the X, Y, Z, and ABC. And I'm just going to have to either get good at answering those questions, why it doesn't do it, or just accept it, like it's not going to be a fit for everybody, but hopefully it'll be a fit for some people, and if not, as I said, it was still like it was what I wanted to exist, and if nobody else uses it, then at least I'm using the app that I wish I had.